Hi there, welcome to In Conversation with ASI. Today I am joined by personal stylist Fae Jagdon. Fae, welcome to the, episode.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm excited, and we were chatting just before I hit record, and it's funny, this happens a lot in our community where we've just followed each other on socials for so long and sort of watched each other grow, but we actually have never met before, virtually or in person. So this is the first time we're really sitting down and getting to know one another in a different sort of capacity, which I'm excited for.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's the beauty of this community is that we are all connected in some way, and ASI is that common ground that a lot of us have. And I think when we're able to connect in that way, it just brings us, together naturally. And I was telling you, I feel like I know you, even though we've never really met,
I feel like I know you too. That's great. For those of you who don't know you though, can you share a little bit about your journey so far and sort of the key focuses that you have for your styling business?
Yeah, so I'm Faye. I'm a personal stylist based in Melbourne, and I serve clients virtually a lot of the time all over the world. That kind of happened during the pandemic. And I work with a lot of the time entrepreneurs and professionals, and I help them really elevate their style through local and international brands. And a lot of my focus is on personalized mood boards and the styling aspect of personal styling.
Cool, I love that. And when did you complete your studies with us?
Yeah, I completed my studies in 2018, which is so crazy. We just turned 4 over here. I was reflecting on that time and the call that I had with Penny when it all happened, like a lot of us. And that really was the turning point for me. I think during that time, I was going through a rough patch with my work and just kind of questioning my direction. And it kind of came at the right time. And yeah, I went cold turkey, and 4 years later, I'm here.
Wow.
So yeah.
What job did you leave behind to pursue this?
I was a nurse.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I was a nurse of 8 years.
Yeah. I think that's a really beautiful transition. And what we often say, and I'm sure you remember from your training, but generally as stylists, we're empathetic people and we just really want to help others. So that actually makes perfect sense that was before doing this. Have you found that some of those, I guess, skills or I don't know, the work ethic that you had as a nurse has transitioned into your styling now?
100%. I have no regrets being a nurse, and I feel like if anything, it's really shaped me to who I am today. And it really has helped me develop those kind of skills: empathy, relationship building, communication, listening. It's what makes me who I am as a nurse, as a stylist. And I think that I attract those kind of clients who come into my space. They really do want to feel nurtured and taken care of and safe in my space. So
I love that. That's beautiful. And what was sort of, you mentioned that there was a bit of a rough patch and then you had a conversation with Penny, our national course advisor. What was that turning point for you? What was, I guess, the catalyst to go, I need more, or I'm ready for something that's more focused and aligned with fashion and styling?
So while I was a nurse, I always loved fashion. I always loved styling. I always loved expressing myself through my outfits. But during the peak of my nursing career, I really worked my way up and achieved the goals that I wanted to achieve. I became a manager. I worked in ICU. And during that course, I found myself letting go of creating outfits and using social media as a creative outlet. And I felt when I lost that part of myself, I started to question who I was and what I was doing with my life. And it was funny because I remember sitting in my manager office, the place where I thought that was where I belonged. And yeah, it was during that time that I really questioned what I was doing. Like, is this really what it was meant to feel like? For some reason, I just didn't feel complete or feel fulfilled in what I was doing with myself. And so I really took that moment to question my next steps in my career. I reached out to a career counselor. She helped me explore what else was out there in the world, because all I knew was nursing. And she kind of introduced me into the world of styling. It wasn't very specific to personal styling, but I kind of put my passion with her discovery together. And the first thing I did was I Googled styling Melbourne, because I was moving to Melbourne at the same time. and ASI came up, and it was kind of a no-brainer. I just hit that apply, hit that apply button, and I left it to fate. And I said, you know what, if I get a call or if I get some kind of communication, then it was meant to be. And yeah, it was a sick day for me that day. And Penny called me and I said, like, it was meant to be.
Yeah. It's funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm training our courses, I often like preface being like, sometimes some of our community are a bit woo-woo, like we believe everything happens for a reason, fate and manifestation and all of those things. And I love that that's aligned for you as well with that day. I'm curious, you know, being someone who has always loved fashion and styling, what's your first fashion memory?
Good question. A couple. My very first was, I think, when I realized what I really liked on myself. My mom used to always bring clothes home. Like she would go out and buy clothes and outfits for me. And there was a point where I started to say no. And there was a point where I started to really question like why she would put these two together. A lot of the time they were matching sets. And with my body proportions, it just didn't work out for me. And I started to realize that. And so that was probably the first time that I started to really think about clothing in that sense. And my other big realization was my dad. He was really into fashion and styling, and he always put in the effort into how he looked and how he dressed, and he had a really cool sense of style. And I remember as a teenager, he would always ask me, you know, what shoes to wear with his outfits. And at the time, I was thinking, like, they're just shoes. I don't understand why you're asking me this question every single time. Like, but the more he did, the more I would look at him and I would think, you know what, like there really is a difference between this shoe and that shoe. And he was the one who, I guess, pushed me into my creativity and being able to express myself the way that I wanted to.
That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
It's funny when I ask anyone that question, sometimes most often it does come down to some sort of interaction that they've had with like a family member or someone close to them growing up. And it's so ingrained in us and we forget that sometimes until we stop and actually think about those moments, it sort of escapes us and we're like, but it's just always been that way. But yeah, it's amazing that your parents have sort of helped shape that for you. In saying that as well, I guess, has there been a moment throughout your career? Because, you know, you mentioned that you left nursing, I guess cold turkey was the phrase that you used. And then 4 years later, you know, I know that at the moment you have put a call out to, you know, even recruit for your business because you're so busy. And that's pretty amazing. But running a business isn't necessarily easy, especially through the pandemic and things like that. So I'm curious to know what's been sort of like one of the toughest challenges that you've experienced since the beginning, and what was either the, I guess, founding thought or the key driver that helped you push through that moment to keep going?
Yeah, I think as a business owner, there are a lot of, I mean, there's passion, right? But then on the opposite end, there's also feelings of doubt and imposter syndrome. And when I first started, as you know, I went cold turkey, and going from a nursing career to a creative career, there were a lot of questions around, you know, whether I was good enough, whether I could really do this, whether I really had it in me, or whether I should just go back and be comfortable and be safe in my nursing career. And even throughout my business journey, again, so many times where I question, you know, am I good enough? Is this the right thing that I should be doing? Am I going to be successful, or should I just throw in the towel now and again, like go back to what I'm comfortable with? And I think during those moments, especially, I allow myself to feel it because I think it's normal. But then also to remind myself why I'm doing what I'm doing. And my why behind it all is the main driver as to that has brought me to where I am today. It's the driver that even through the toughest of times, I remind myself, you know, why I'm doing what I'm doing, and how grateful and how lucky I am to be in this position, and to see the bigger goal and to see the bigger picture. And if I'm able to see that, then that to me is an indication that I'm on the right path. Sometimes things may not happen the way that you want them to happen, but if you truly believe in it, then, you know, woo again, but whatever, like what was meant to be will be, is how I like to think of it. So
Can I ask you what your why is? Because you mentioned that a couple of times just now.
yeah, so my why is because I kind of mentioned this briefly, but I lost my sense of style as a nurse, and I really felt the power of clothing and what it could do to you. And when I lost myself, I mean, I was miserable. I hated it. And I just don't want anyone to feel that same feeling, because I felt it myself. And I also felt the power of the transformation that you can have when you do discover your style and when you are able to feel aligned with yourself and show up as the best version of yourself. And that journey that I experienced myself is my why. And it's the reason why whenever my clients approach me and they share similar stories, or I can just see it in them, they're defeated and they're deflated and they just, don't know what to do with themselves. I see myself in them. Yeah. And I, remind them that if I'm able to experience this journey and I'm able to come out of it stronger, more confident, empowered, it's a privilege for me to be able to help my clients go through the same journey.
Yeah, I love that. It's so true. And I mean, this is part of why we do what we do here at ASI, is that we believe that clothes is so much more than just what we put on every day to go about and do whatever it is that our life requires us to do. I'm curious though, in terms of confidence and feeling amazing in what you wear, is there a specific item in your wardrobe that's a favorite, and that when you put it on, it's like everything just feels incredible and like you can take on the world?
So many. The one that comes to mind, because it's hanging right in front of me, I have this brown plaid blazer that I've had for years, I mean, I'm pretty sure I even wore it at ASI at one point. That's how long I've had it. And every time I wear it, I feel like I can just handle whatever is going to be thrown at me at the day. It fits me perfectly. I love the color, the fit, how it makes me feel, the structure, and the amount of comments that I receive every time I wear it. It's a bummer that it's no longer available, but yeah, it's definitely a power item in my wardrobe.
Yeah, I love that. I think everyone deserves to have a piece like that in their wardrobe, that no matter what's going to happen at any given time, if they put that on, it's sort of, everything sort of falls into place, and yeah, we feel like our best. That's awesome.
Yeah.
In terms of where you're at now, I guess, what excites you about the future of fashion? And that could be in your own business or the industry as a whole. Is there something that comes to mind that excites you for the future?
I am truly excited about the evolution of styling and just seeing where this will go for us. I think, when I started 4 years ago till now, I believe in my space anyway, that so much has changed and there have been so many more opportunities, but even just the introduction of more stylists entering the world, the more awareness that people have of us. And I think that's really beautiful, because a lot of the time people think that stylists are just for celebrities or for the well-off. And so to be able to give the average person accessibility to us, I think is a really beautiful thing. And so I think the more of us that are entering this space, the more it allows them to give themselves permission to allow us to be in their space.
Yeah, for sure. In terms of, you mentioned just there people looking to get into styling, I guess, as someone who was in a different career and then, I mean, you shared your story already around how you'd lost yourself and you were ready for something different. What piece of advice would you recommend to someone who may be in a career where they're feeling like it's not fulfilling, or they're looking to branch out into something in the fashion industry? What would be a piece of advice that you could give them?
I would say just ask yourself why, first of all, you're unhappy. If fashion and styling is even just a little spark in you, I would probably highly suggest that you reach out to any of us. It could be anyone from ASI or anyone who has been a student before, and ask us about our experience, because I personally love sharing my story, and if I can help you in any way, then please do reach out. But I would highly suggest that you get in communication with us, or even with you or with Penny, just to discuss your situation and scope out if this is really something that you want to do. And I mentioned it before as well. I think career counselors are amazing, and they would definitely be able to open your doors into what styling has to offer.
Yeah, it's funny. When I did my course back in 2015, I distinctly remember telling my dad that I was going to become a stylist. And he was like, "You're going to do a what now?"
Yeah.
Really couldn't fathom that it was even a job. And I know Lauren's shared that in the past. She had a similar experience. And I think what you've shared just there is not only that there are so many doors and options available when it comes to the fashion industry and styling in particular, but you've always got to take that first step to even ask the questions before you can make any kind of decision. But it's in that moment, and we would call it ASI language, being like, be curious and just, yeah, suss out whether that fire in your belly or that little spark, there's more to it. I think that's so important. In saying that, who's been your biggest supporter through this journey?
My biggest supporter would have to be my now husband. At the time, he was my partner. We relocated to Melbourne for his job. And I remember looking up nursing jobs initially while we were moving. And he stopped me and he said, why are you looking up nursing jobs? You've had this conversation with your career counselor. You've applied, for ASI. Why don't you look into that and see where that takes you? Give it a shot. And if it doesn't work out, then we can, look at nursing. But I think if we're moving and this is like a start of a new chapter for you, why not give it a go and see what happens? And so until now, he's always been my biggest supporter. We always joke about him being part of my business. He doesn't think he is, but I think he is. I literally pass everything by him and he just kind of says yes, no. Like from an outsider, I think it's really important to have that opinion and to be able to share my goals with someone as well. So whatever I go through, he goes through, and whatever milestone I reach, he celebrates with me. And it's just, I'm very lucky to have him.
I think what you've mentioned there is really key, is that we need to celebrate the milestones. And it's funny, whenever I do talk to students, sometimes they call, we're doing a mentoring session and they're like, oh, I feel like I'm behind, or I'm not making progress, or I'm not doing enough. But actually, when we stop to really acknowledge even those small and what can sometimes seem like insignificant wins, as soon as we start to acknowledge those, we realize how far we've come. Is there a win or a success that you've had that stands out in your mind over the past 4 years?
I mean, you kind of mentioned it briefly, but I just hired a new team member to join my team. That just happened in the last month, so it was very recent. I 4 years ago did not even imagine having a team. I just thought that was way out of my league, but the fact that I'm here now and I'm able to support another stylist and help them, create their own path it's a privilege again. And I'm very lucky to be in this position. And like you said, when you're in the business, sometimes you get so focused on doing all the things and doing things right. And if it doesn't fall through, you start to question and you're really hard on yourself because you care so much. But I've really learned, especially over the last year, to just take a step back and celebrate any little thing, whether that be, something like landing a client or even just getting through your to-do list for the day. Something as little as that, it's a win, because whatever you're doing for your business will help you continue and evolve.
And success doesn't happen overnight. And I think sometimes, especially in this day and age, we seek instant gratification or the instant result, but it takes time. And I'm curious for you, what does success look like for you in your business, and how do you actually measure that for yourself?
It's an interesting question. I see success as being aligned with yourself, having peace with yourself, and being able to do what you love without any external pressures, without any external stresses. I think if we're able to wake up and love what we do and have the freedom to be able to do what we do when we want to do it, and at the end of the day, achieving that bigger picture goal for ourselves and go to sleep happy, I think that is my definition of success. I think it's easy for me because I can compare it to where I used to work, and they're very different. And success in that industry was very different to what I feel it is now. And I believe that I do achieve success every now and then, and I am successful where I am now. But it is a really difficult, I guess, question to say, exactly what it is, but I feel it. And I think that's what success means to me.
Yeah. I think when you say where you were and what success looked like as a nurse versus what it looks like now, there's a lot of people that will resonate with, because we are taught from such a young age that you know, you should have job security and you should be climbing the ladder and you should be aiming for the next promotion, and all these shoulds that step into it, that actually we forget. And sometimes it can be so hard to language what success actually is for us. But I love what you shared just there, that it's actually a feeling. It's like, if I could go to bed feeling like I achieved my to-do list, even, like, that's a successful day. And sometimes we get so focused on those bigger pictures, and while they're important to keep us going, to maintain our business strategy and success and get paying clients and things, at the end of the day, you know, if you feel like you've ticked those boxes and you can go to bed with a smile on your face and celebrate a win, like, I couldn't agree more. I think that's success, hands down, especially, you know, given the fact that you've grown your team and you're obviously getting, you know, clients coming through, and you're doing this as a full-time job now. You know, a lot of people would look at that as successful as well. And often a lot of our stylists are very humble and modest, and I say, don't be. So you should absolutely feel successful in what you do, because I mean, you wouldn't be here as part of this conversation series if we didn't think that you were doing all the things that we would hope our stylists achieve out in the world. So we want to say, as from ASI, a big congratulations on all your success, and to the future successes that I'm sure that you'll have. And I mean, is there any sort of goals in the future that you're working towards at the moment that you can share? Is everything a little bit hush hush?
Well, I wouldn't say that everything's hush hush. I just don't think that everything is quite like that is the plan for now.
Yeah.
As you know, I just hired someone, and so it's really about understanding each other's roles and seeing where we can go together on this journey. I'm really planning to diversify my offers now so that I can, you know, attract more and serve more with her by my side. So that is kind of where we're heading at the moment. But I too am excited to see where we end up. I think it's going to be, whatever the end goal is for us, I think it's just going to be a beautiful journey together.
Yeah. What is there, like a mantra or a quote or something like that that is in the back of your mind that sort of keeps you grounded or focused?
I mean, I constantly just remind myself that I am deserving, I'm worthy, I'm confident, I'm powerful, and I'm successful. And that successful part, interestingly enough, I only just added, I would say, in the last like 6 months. Before that, I kind of just didn't feel like I was there yet. But yeah, just the more people I speak to, the more they remind me. You know, sometimes I don't realize it myself, but it's humbling, like you said, to be in this position. But then it's a really good reminder when I speak to other people and they remind me where I am right now. So yeah, I would say definitely those words come in every now and then, especially when I feel like I'm at the bottom. Just reminding myself, you know, how far I've come and where I'm at right now.
Yeah, for sure. For any of our stylists who are about to undertake the training, could you maybe share a little bit about your experience in the classroom?
Yeah, my experience, I mean, I was very fresh, very new, I personally felt quite intimidated to begin with, but I will let you know that the experience is going to change your life. Be prepared to just feel inspired every time you walk into this space and when you're surrounded by everyone, and to lean on as many people as you can, because the community is amazing and they will be with you even 4 years later. You're still part of it, and so you're never going to be alone. But definitely use as much support as you can throughout it all. Soak up everything that they have to share, because there's going to be a lot, but it really is going to change your life and the way that you run your business and achieve your goals in the future.
Amazing. I think you're incredible, and I'm really excited to see where your business goes in the future, especially with your new team member. Very exciting, and congratulations to them.
Thank you.
Thank you again for taking the time. I know that you're very busy, so I really appreciate you coming on board this morning and sharing your journey so far. And yeah, look forward to watching the growth from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.